Hey team, and welcome. I'm your host, Carrie, creator of Mutha Life, your destination for all things real talk and parenting. This is the IRL group chat, where we talk about the wild balancing act of pursuing careers and passions while also doing our best to show up for our kids. Join me every week as I sit down with some badass parents in my closet and we talk about their careers, kids, and relationships and all of the weird shit that comes up when you're trying to balance the seemingly impossible. New Year's, as you'll soon hear, is confusing for me. I both don't want to give it more credit than it's due. After all, it's just a date on the calendar. And yet I can't help but be drawn to the time of year and do some reflection. Similar to leading up to the arrival of a new baby, a sort of nesting takes hold. I want to clean out the fridge, throw away everything, wipe the slate clean. Literally. And also not hold myself to unrealistic standards, or expect a new me will emerge from one night to the next. So, as regular listeners to the pod might surmise, I am, dare I say, trying to strike a balance. Reflection is good, setting myself up to fail is not. I'm pretty positive I can find an in-between that keeps me focused on the things that matter, but not tunnel-visioned. There's a difference. If we're supposed to start the year as we mean to go on, then I think it's only fitting to start the year with SOSUPERSAM, the DJ, the mother, the creative soul. She's a pal of the closet, a member of this team of the highest order, and just a great hang for a sprawling conversation on New Year's Day. Enjoy. Okay.
Anyway,
should we talk about a game plan for today?
Yeah, what do you want to do? Yeah, what do you want to do?
Okay. Welcome to the closet.
Should
Welcome
we say
back.
Happy New Year?
Happy New Year, everybody.
This is great.
This is great. This is our first, but not our last, New Year special. It is Jan 1 for those of you who are listening today.
Yes.
And so this is what I did. I had to think about what does this day mean to me and what did last year mean to me and what does this next year mean to me? And there's two things to start.
Okay.
One, I don't believe in New Year's resolutions. So we can talk about why that is.
Okay, yeah, let's talk about it.
I don't think they're very helpful, and I think they set people up for failure.
Okay.
Because you put so much emphasis on waiting for this day to start your life over or whatever.
Right.
I believe in making resolutions all year long.
Sure.
And making them things that are achievable.
Of course.
This is where my husband and I are super different. He shoots for the moon so he can land among the stars. You know, he's going to work out 6 days a week and be thrilled if he gets 3. Whereas I'm like, I will work out 2 days a week, let's say, and then I will work out 2 days a week. I try and set practical, achievable goals for myself, and then I hold myself to them. But everybody's different on goal setting, and I know you and I are different about how we think about some of these things. So I want to hear how you think about New Year's resolutions. So that's the first thing to say is when I get to this day every year, I'm not like, all right, time to start my life over. And then the other piece is that a year ago this week, for the bitch who doesn't believe in resolutions, I decided for the first time ever to put my face on the internet attached to Mutha Life.
No way.
So I just realized that as I was
Happy
reflecting.
anniversary.
Thank you so much.
Of your face.
I had been, writing for longer than that, and I had been thinking about these things and posting and all of this stuff, but it was the first time where I was like, my whole life everyone said you need to be taken seriously, and serious people don't talk using swear words, and serious people aren't funny, and serious this and serious that. People with doctorates behave this way, and da-da-da-da-da. And at this point last year, I just said, I am a fully self-actualized person, and if you don't think I am smart or serious or analytically rigorous because I also think I'm a good time, then, that's kind of your problem.
That's on you, yeah.
Fuck off. So the last year has kind of been this amazing adventure where I'm having an absolute blast.
That's amazing that you've really accepted. I think you fully accepted your voice as it is and all of the beauty in it and the nuance and all of the signature Carrie. I wouldn't have guessed that.
Yeah, well, so what's interesting is I went to college for broadcast journalism and anthropology because, people are interesting. But in that, I really thought I was going to be like a TV anchor. Like, I really thought I was going to be on TV interviewing people and talking to people and asking them what they thought about things. And through the college experience, I was at NYU. There are all these people who are like prettier than me, more put together than me, like brush their hair, crazy stuff. And I was like, oh, they are so clearly the ones who are meant to be on air, right? Like, and also, nobody takes the on-air talent quote seriously. It's the producers, it's the writers, it's all those people who get taken seriously.
So New York of you.
Right. Like, so opposite to the LA experience. Right. So I kind of talked myself down from a goal that I had had for a really long time, because I saw it as like selfish, like, you want to make it about you, vain.
Sure.
And in college, all of the like, we had to make documentaries and projects, and everything I did was always so serious.
Yeah.
And I noticed a lot of, especially the guys in my journalism courses, were doing like really fun, silly stories about like, let's go down into the subway after dark and like find ghosts. And I was like, I'm going to go to visit the site of 9/11 and talk to survivors. Like, I was always trying to do serious when those stories are important and need to be told, but I think I was kind of missing the point.
How much of that do you think has to do with being a woman?
I think it has to do with being a woman, sort of. I don't think I acknowledged like gender as an inhibitor to success until much later, actually, until I like was negotiating salaries and stuff.
Sure.
I think it has to do with being the youngest.
The youngest.
In part. And I know everyone who listens to this regularly is going to be like, oh my God, she's talking about the birth order shit again. But
birth order does matter.
Thing.
It's a thing.
For some people, it's a thing.
It's like it's for Mutha Life podcast, it's the equivalent of a zodiac chart.
Right.
It's the birth order chart.
I am obsessed with that. That is totally true. So I'm a middle. Oh my God.
Yeah, like no one gives a fuck if you're a Scorpio, but are you a middle child?
Are you a middle? And it's like, what's your ascending? Like, are you a youngest of 2 or a youngest of 3?
What's your ascending?
What's your ascending sibling?
Are you the middle child but the oldest girl?
Right.
That was interesting on the Jill Talley pod.
That was really interesting because there is all this nuance. But I think for me, it was like, okay, each of us have our thing, or like me and the siblings have the thing. Like, my brother is this musical prodigy. My sister is this sort of aloof, sort of low-key do-gooder, but mischief maker when she was younger. And so they both had their things where our parents had to pay attention to them. But like, what was going to be
what was
my
your
thing? My thing was trying to be smart.
See, and I think that's what's interesting, because what I've been thinking about a lot this week is what are the behaviors and motivators that we follow or have written for ourselves in order for us to justify our existence.
Say more.
So this is a lot of the work that I've been doing with my therapist for so many years. Is like, why can't I sit down? Why can't I like just take a break? Why And a lot of it has to do with this insatiable need to justify my existence in whatever role I'm in. So if it's being a mom, it's like, no, I'm doing 4 French braids today because I'm a mom. Like, I need... Right. And it's not... Maybe it was for my own mother when I was a kid is why I did that, or my teachers or what have you. But at this point in my life, I think I'm just doing it out of habit.
Right, of
course. Like, no one gives a fuck. No one gives a fuck except me, I guess, subconsciously, just constantly... making sure that box stays checked, like Sam belongs in this world or something. It's a weird thing that I've had to really start paying attention to.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I think as Jill, both of that episode is obviously on top of mind for both of us. But one of the things Jill Talley said is like, we reward people pleasers and we reward people who follow the rules. We also reward productivity. Kids who just like sit around and daydream or like want to be cozy, like they have parents on their asses all the time. Like, get up and go do something. Da, 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 da. And the kid who's out and going and doing, oh, they're such a good kid. Like, yeah. And it's like, well, different kids need different things.
Well, and I've found that, you know, really trying to understand that will also inform my motherhood and my parenting, right? Because I also don't want to pass on that. I don't love that about my wiring. And it's like, well, how do I tweak that or adjust it in, you know, my relationship to my kids? Like, why am I'm currently triggered when I see an idle child. Right. But there is also this force within me that's saying, okay, take a break. Right. Sit down for 5 minutes, and it doesn't make you a lazy person. It doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make you an unproductive person. It doesn't make you like less of a mom. It doesn't make you everything will get to. But these are the constant like inner monologues I have. Same. And it's like, how do you now transfer these ideas that you're working on onto your kids without like, you know, being the hammer? And I'm always just like reminding myself to let them be and enjoy the same way I need to remind myself to be and enjoy. But it is a weird like conditioning. That when did that start? Boomers, millennials? Like, is it us?
It's a product of
the Industrial Revolution.
It's a product of how we were parented, you know, like, and by the way, like, I had an interesting conversation with my mom the other day about generations and how we're different, and it wasn't an argument, but it was sort of like this heated discussion at first, and then the tension got released and we were able to just discuss. But she was saying, you know, our generation is so quick to like call out our trauma and make everything about our trauma, and it's like, that's fine, sure, and also you have to appreciate that it's called being self-reflective. Like, it's okay to understand why we are the way we are, and then we get to decide what we keep and what we change. Right. But if you don't do that self-reflective piece, like, you can't really get there. And I don't think that generation has done a whole hell of a lot of that self-reflective thing.
Nor do they, as a byproduct, they might. Yeah, they don't have an appreciation for the process either, because they're like, well, what the fuck is the point?
It's annoying.
Yeah, it's annoying.
To them, because they're like,
it's confrontational, it's offensive, like whatever. It's irritating, especially if you're like 60 years old. You're like, I don't give a shit anymore.
Yeah, and I said to my mom, like,
it's done.
I fully expect my kid at some point to come to me when they are older and be like, hey, you did this thing when I was growing up, and it really hurt me. And it could be something as innocuous as, like, I didn't make it to enough basketball games because I was working. Or I don't know what it's going to be. Or, like, you are too extroverted in situations and you take away my space. Or I don't know what they're going to. But I expect at some point they will come to me.
With some core memories.
With some core thing that I didn't anticipate. Right. And it's my job to listen. And I'm saying this now, I'm putting it out in the universe. Future Carrie, please listen to your own fucking words. Just listen. It doesn't mean they don't love you. It doesn't mean they don't appreciate everything you did, but it does mean that their experience and how they experience their own childhood is theirs.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think that's just like a big thing, is I expect my kids to at some point say that I fucked them up in some way that I don't anticipate. And instead of spending my whole life trying not to do that, I'm going to love them the best I can. Right. I'm going to show up the best I can. Yes. And then when they inevitably say I fucked up somehow, just say I'm sorry.
Yeah, and accept it.
I didn't realize that I was doing that, and I'm so sorry, and I hope you know how much I love you. Like, I think that's enough.
I think that is enough. Yeah,
just be prepared. And I don't think it's sad to think that could happen.
Right. No, you know? I agree. So, anyways, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
2025.
But this discussion actually brings me to how I was thinking about the new year.
Okay, yes. How are you? Oh, you did prepare.
Well, you said you were preparing, so I was like, fuck, now I have to prepare. But before we get to this.
I'm trying to read upside down.
Don't you read it? Don't cheat, Sam. Don't cheat the process. First, I want to know your thoughts on New Year's resolutions.
Sure. Okay. I love habits. I love change. I love I love self-improvement. It's all good. Last year at this time, I was ruminating over what my, theme and focus and goal was for the following year. I could not, for the life of me, figure it out. I was stumped. And then I also hit a point in that process where I said, you know what, it's okay. Because there isn't some apocalyptic deadline that if I don't figure it out by January 1st, I'm completely fucked. This can start. It started 3 weeks ahead of time. I'm sure that something will materialize. And that's kind of what happened. I don't like New Year's as a big, I'm going to pivot and a full 180. I think that's bullshit.
Yeah.
I think that change can happen any day of the fucking week. And that's kind of how I do it. And I'm very similar to you in that I like to set, realistic and attainable goals, sustainable goals.
Yeah.
I'm all about sustainability
sustainable personal development goals.
Yeah, totally. Because
the SPDGs.
Because the thing is, you don't want to for me, I don't want to set myself up for failure.
Yeah.
And I don't want to set myself up for the unrealistic.
Yeah.
So a big thing about my reflection in the end of the year, which I'm a big advocate for reflecting at the end of the year. I love that. I like to think about what went right, what didn't go so great, what I learned. Did the theme that I set for the year actually, follow course in some way, shape, or form? Did it?
The theme, you kill me. It's like the colorway.
Is the colorway.
Your annual color.
Well, because I think essentially what the resolution needs to be is more so a theme. Like a theme, an overall big picture idea.
I like that.
And then from there, you sort of break it down into actionable changes.
Project managing change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for me last year, and I made a vision board.
Of course you did.
I did. It was fun because it just gets you excited.
Are we cutting clippings out of magazines?
Girl, yes.
Oh, that's cute.
And I had a little, tete-a-tete with one of my girlfriends, and we had a crafting day, and it was just nice to have a tactile moment of reflection. Because it's one thing to type it in your phone, but it's another thing to sit with your girlie with scissors and flip through magazines and really talk about shit and then glue it. I think there's something there, something tangible and something tactile.
Next time you want to have a
mind-body connection.
Next time you want to have a book club, but nobody actually ever reads the books, maybe you vision board hang instead.
Yeah, I like that. More about the time spent, just taking a couple hours of no phone and just being with yourself and maybe a friend and your ideas. There's not enough time for play for people because if we take ourselves too seriously and we need to cut and glue and all that stuff. So I think my process is I reflect in the last month of the year. I have since let go of what's my big resolution. Mm-hmm. I think that's too much pressure. I think coming up with a theme.
Give me an example.
Okay, so my my theme last year, as it started to form a shape, was health and wealth.
Nice.
So that's big. But at that time, I wasn't sleeping very well. I hadn't really made a conscious, push into my fitness. It was just sort of happenstance.
Dabbling.
If it happens, if I happen to work out, it works out. But I was no, I need to make a more intentional, effort in that area. And so what does that mean? I think it means, making a couple changes in my diet. Let's take a look at my nutrition and what time am I waking up in the morning? And how are we using our childcare to help me move that forward. And then there was the wealth part was like, wealth, I guess, I don't know. It was like financially, it was about like maybe getting my career back.
Well, I was going to say, it's also coming at a time where you're starting to come back into your career, you know, after a very intensive period of parenting.
Yeah. So that was the long of it and the big of it. And from there, you know, I broke it down into what are the specifics, that maybe 1 or 2 specifics in each health category and each wealth category, and then just kind of start there.
Do you have a theme for this year yet?
I don't have a theme for this year yet.
I love that.
That's what I'm still reflecting on. And I know that it's January already, and that's okay.
And that's okay.
Because again, it can start any day.
Anytime.
Any
Truly.
day, anytime. It's all good.
Yeah. I feel like I just had this huge reset with this surgery that I had last year.
Yeah.
I basically didn't have a choice. Like, it was like, okay, you have 8 weeks to get in the best shape of your life and to massively overhaul the way you're eating to prepare for this surgery. And I was like, okay, change starts now on whatever random fucking day this is. And then you have the surgery and they're like, okay, now you need to do X, Y, and Z for the rest of your life to prevent this disease from coming back.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, this feels like a pretty good rubric for how I'm just gonna move forward now.
Okay.
And you just go for it.
So do you feel like your surgery was your New Year's?
100%.
Okay. It gave New Year energy.
It was giving New Year's.
Okay.
I mean, if you think about it, more painful than I hope a New Year's Eve party would be. But you know, like, all of a sudden you have some very clear, specific objectives for what you're trying to do. And
you have a clear time marker of a before and an after.
You have a clear time marker. And this is also the first time in my life since I was 16 years old that I'm not living with chronic inflammation in my body.
That's amazing. Congratulations.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
But, like, you know, you're just like, okay, well, I've just been given this gift. I mean, I worked for it, but I've been given this gift of a blank slate, intestinally speaking. So what am I going to do with it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it seems like I would be shitting on myself, on my family, to just be like, I'm not going to take advantage of this thing that could actually contribute to my longevity. I want those extra years with my kids. I don't want to have to go through this again. Like, let's put in the time now and just prevent that from happening. So I feel like it was a huge gift. It really was.
But, and not to shit on New Year's, but if you're not given the same gift that Carrie was given, New Year's is a good tool.
You could make a choice.
New Year's is a good tool for hey, how do we want to move forward?
Have a think.
Yeah, have a think.
And I think one of the reasons why it hit so hard is because I am a mother and I am a parent, and I was just thinking the amount of stress that this surgery put my family under.
Yeah.
It was 2 weeks. It was more than 2 weeks of everyone else making sacrifices so I could take care of myself. And everyone was happy to do that. But also, like, I don't want that to be something, if we can avoid it, that we have to keep doing, you know? If there are choices I can make to take care of myself, then I'm not just doing that for me. I'm doing it for everybody.
Yeah.
So that was big. I also just remembered I met my husband on New Year's Eve.
No way.
10 years ago. 11 years ago. And so there is something special about this time of year at a party.
How did you guys meet?
We met at a party in line for the bathroom. And obviously I was really funny and he laughed at my jokes, which means that he has good taste. And then we just like were gabbing away and spent the whole night. All of his friends left the party, but he didn't want to leave. He stayed. And then we embarked on this like cross global, the LA to London at the time, 3-year relationship.
And it started on New Year's.
New Year's.
Did you guys meet before midnight or after?
We met before midnight. When the clock struck midnight, I turned to my friend Sarah, who I was at the party with, and I went to give her a big kiss on the cheek. And I turned around to him to be like, did you see how wet I made her cheek or something like that? And he was just waiting for his smooch. Like, he was like, I'm in line. I'm here. I'm ready.
I'm in line. I'm in love. And let's
smooch. And, you know, the rest is kind of history.
That is so cute.
It's a nice time of year.
What year was this?
2013 into 2014.
Beautiful.
I think.
In LA, New York, London.
In New York. So we both
Okay.
happened to be in New York at this house party. It was kind of kismet, really.
That's really cool.
And here we are all these years later, and I was reflecting on how different New Year's Eve is now.
Right,
That, like,
of course.
like for those of you who are listening today on actually New Year's Day, I wonder, are you hungover or are you pretty well rested because you still have kids you have to take care of today?
Because you celebrated New Year's countdown for London time
At noon or whatever. Yeah.
5:00 p.m.
Yeah, it's like, you know, I'm just thinking about how it's changed and how it's always a bit of like a dud holiday, honestly. Like, people really build up New Year's Eve when you are single or you're in a different chapter. It's like, oh, we're gonna go to this great party, and like it's always kind of fine.
It's fine. It's my least favorite.
Yeah, but I do feel pretty lucky that this is the chapter that I'm in now, where it's like, you know what, I'm good.
It's cute.
Tomorrow's gonna be there when tomorrow's there. Like, I don't need to stay up and watch it become a new year.
Yeah, no,
I gotta be up at 6, you know?
Oh my gosh. Yeah,
or whatever the
I
fuck
gotta
it is.
be up at 6 on New Year's Day too. I used to work on New Year's every year.
Because you were a DJ.
Even last year, I think I worked.
Literally the life of a party.
Yeah, and it was really hard because I don't love New Year's, and I think it's a lot of hullabaloo and a lot of like, sort of, how do you say, like a fake pressure, like artificial excitement and hype,
Right.
and man-made hype. I didn't love it, but I always produced like a party and I like did the countdown and I DJ'd and I like really just tried my best, but it was just, I don't love it. I don't love the hype of it.
Yeah.
It's usually a letdown.
Yeah. And I was talking to our au pair who's from Brazil.
Yeah.
And in Brazil,
big plans?
Well, in Brazil, New Year's Day is a much bigger holiday than anything else.
Oh, really?
Than New Year's Eve, certainly. Than Christmas. Like, this is the holiday, is New Year's Day. But New Year's Day in Brazil is a time that you get all your family and friends together and you're eating a big meal.
That's
and
so
you're
nice.
just like cozying down and spending time with each other. It's summer in Brazil on New Year's, so like everybody's at the pool or at the beach.
That's a big vibe switch up.
Very vibey. And I like that. Like, I think I'm Brazilian when it comes to New Year's Day.
Yeah, cozy down is sort of like anytime we can cozy down, like your Thanksgiving party.
Yeah. Yeah, guys.
That was a
year,
cozy down.
That felt so cozy to me this year, and I think it might have to become a tradition. The Saturday after Thanksgiving, we invited all of our friends and like neighborhood posse over for leftovers and to hang. And instead of having like a formal sit-down meal, everyone came over, and it was so cozy. And it was multi-generational, which it felt really important to me.
It was a cozy down.
And I loved it. So I think that's kind of the vibe for New Year's Day moving forward.
I feel like that's your vibe in general.
That is kind of my vibe.
You're like everyone, kids, old people,
get
like
everybody together.
Everyone, anyone who wants to stop by, like come over. The house is warm. It's full of food.
Yeah.
Like we're gonna cozy down, and then you can leave, and then that's it.
That's it. I can do vibey. I've go to the bouge things. Like I can do it, but is that filling my cup massively? Not really. Like, it's fun. I like to see what people are wearing and like listen to good music like everyone else. But is that the stuff where I'm like, wow, I had this really great conversation with somebody that stuck with me? No.
Right, no. It's just like feeling warm, I think. Okay, wait. So we need to go back, circle back to you. What is your New Year's? I think we can agree that we're not like huge New Year's resolutioners.
Yeah.
But where's your head at coming into this day? Do you have a theme?
I am thinking in buckets.
Okay, she's thinking of buckets, y'all.
We got buckets.
Tell me more. Tell us more. The pod needs to know.
And this is all as she takes a bite of her fucking banana. The banana's killing me.
I have an apple too.
You were not eating that apple on this podcast.
I'm not gonna eat that.
It's too crunchy. This isn't like an ASMR produce aisle situation. So my buckets. All right, I'm gonna tell you what the buckets are first, and then we can like go through some of the things. Health, obviously, I am kind of framing my buckets around the like before and after surgery thing, and just sort of focusing even more on these revelations that I've had. So the health bit, the passions bit, the work bit, and sometimes those are together. My relationship with my partner, my parenting, and those are kind of the main buckets.
Okay.
Now, the health bucket is by far the most heavy in a lot of ways. I know that coming out of this surgery, there's things that I need to be really mindful of. What I eat and how I eat, and we can talk about that. Fitness and strength, and my mental health. So we know from the research that there is an inextricable link between our gut health and our mental health. The microbiome, like a lot of depression, anxiety sits in our gut biome. And like we know, but disgusting.
Yucky.
But like this is being proven like pretty conclusively in really rigorous studies, and it's a super interesting way to think, especially as we are kind of living in this time of anxiety pandemic, of mental health crisis, etc. Is how are these things linked? So for me, my biggest trigger for my Crohn's is stress. So all the doctors after the surgery are like, you just need to be calm and relaxed and exist in a zen-like state. And I'm like, bitch, I have kids and a life. Like, are you gonna come take over, doctor, surgeon, whatever? Like, no. So I have to take a real look at what can I let go of, how can I manage my stress to just make sure that I literally don't get this disease back in my body as much as I can, because it can come back.
Yes.
So what does that mean in practice? I think I am going to, my goal or a resolution, if we want to call it that, in 2025 is to get a new therapist. My old therapist is great, but she's just not here. And I want somebody local, and I kind of want to start over a little bit.
Yeah.
Some people find starting over with therapy really daunting because you have to
tell your story.
You have to tell your story.
Again.
I think it's worth the investment.
Well, it sounds like it's something that you want and need.
I want it. I want it, and I need it. And also, I want to know what psychotropic options are available to me.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is drugs.
Ecstasy.
Yeah, like,
what?
Are we microdosing MDMA? Like, what are we doing to just support that work? I fully believe in both and the value of both.
Okay.
I'm broadly a low anxiety person, but I do feel at points in the day, for very obvious reasons, I have a spike in like my heart rate and like my physiological response to stress. Shocker. Bedtime. Shocker. Getting ready to get kids out the door. Shocker.
Right.
These are predictable things, but it doesn't mean that I have time to like sit in a corner and meditate. So maybe I can sit in a corner and medicate. I don't know.
Meditate or medicate.
Or both.
Or
probably.
both.
So anyway, I'm doing a lot of breath work already and this sort of stuff, but let's just see. Maybe there's more to be done. I am not going to have a disease come back in my body because I am stressed. That's crazy.
Right. You have a lot of buckets.
I have a lot of buckets. I'm not going to get through all of them.
But I do want to say before you continue.
Yeah.
I think you've already pinpointed the big theme of your existence next year is focusing on stress, because I think it's all linked to every single bucket.
Absolutely.
And if your top of mind is stress, it's going to benefit every bucket.
You want to know one little thing I'm going to do? At the top of every week, I'm going to look at my calendar and I'm going to cancel 2 things.
Woo! That's sick. I love it. Don't cancel on me, bitch.
Well, you never know. But I have started doing that since the surgery, where it's just like I bit off more than I could chew today.
Sure.
And it's not that I don't have love for the people or the causes or whatever, but it's just like I need to do just a little less.
Yes.
Just a little less, like a 10%, 20% less. So that's a goal.
Okay.
And
great.
I think
it's good practice.
If you're a doer like us, you should do it. And then the food thing, I'm working on like a more thought out, fleshed out sort of guide to this protocol of how I am approaching eating now, that I'm hoping to share with everybody. But I think that's kind of the key. Other than that, this podcast has given me so much energy and life and purpose that in 2025, like, I'm going to be bringing insane guests, insane energy.
Yes, talk about it.
New features that you and I have talked about. We're going to be doing more and better and new because this is the thing that I am finding so addictive, and I want to just lean into it as much as I can.
Me too. I love your podcast. That's why I keep coming back.
Yeah.
I'm banging on the closet door like, let me in.
Bitch, we gotta talk.
Let me talk.
So I think I'll stop there. Relationship stuff isn't like really earth-shattering because I think you hit the nail on the head. If I think about that one linchpin of managing stress, everything else settles into place pretty nicely.
Correct.
Now, what about you? What are you thinking?
Good. This is good. Good stuff. I'm thinking thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
As a 3-year-old would say, thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
And that's it. Good.
Good. And then on parenting, entering a new stage of parenting in this house. Recently, in a good way, like good and challenging, but recently I just realized I've hit this point where I can take both kids out of the house and do something by myself and enjoy it.
Great.
Shocking. Not every time.
Is it a specific activity or just in a general sense of...
We just had this day the other week where like I took both kids to visit my brother and his family in the morning. Then we came home and the baby took a nap and the little dude got some downtime watching The Grinch for the 85th time. And then...
Just watching it this morning.
Yeah. And then after that, we went to a park and met up with my cousin and her kids, and that was really nice. And then after that, we stopped by a friend's house. I think the through line is that everywhere I went with them, I knew that I had support in case shit hit the fan.
Sure.
Like, I wasn't in such a vulnerable public state that, like, if a kid ran off,
you were, like, helpless. Yeah.
But,
got it. Been
so there. I hope to do more of that this year, is just, like, get out more, do more. And much to the chagrin of my husband, get the baby shit out of my garage and donated to elsewhere. Yeah. You know?
I love that. Yeah. Great.
Let's open doors,
whatever
close
ZZ's
doors.
done with, get it out of here.
Couldn't agree more.
Come on.
Husband, please,
drop it off.
For the love of God, he doesn't want to get rid of it.
Why? What does he want to do with it?
I think he knows the chapter is over. I think he knows we're not having more kids.
Okay.
And also is mourning the loss of the chapter being over. I know, he's like a mushy guy.
That's so cute.
But I'm like, get the shit out of my house for the love of God.
Maybe take a picture of it. Like, isn't there a thing? Take a picture of it.
Make a notebook of the fucking baby Bjorn so you can remember the jungle bouncer that we got fourth hand from somebody. Like, get it out of my closet.
Yeah, we're done here. It's a wrap on the jungle bouncer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll help.
Great. Thank you so much.
I'll load it in my car.
But yeah, I think
okay, I love all of this.
You gave me a homework assignment because I can't be, if like I know you're doing homework, then I have to be doing homework.
We would be such good friends in school.
And we would have done really good on a group project.
Yeah, I'm a great collaborator.
There wouldn't have been, the group project. You know the type. There's always that one person who phones it the fuck in. And
I'm not that guy.
Me neither. But you also look at them and you like are so tempted to tell the teacher, like, don't give this bitch an A.
Yeah, she didn't do shit. Exactly. I'm out here cutting like handmade letters out of construction paper, and she didn't do shit. I used to make the best school projects. Thanks, Mom and Dad. They were so good at school projects. I always had an A.
But you couldn't now. We're like, I went to Michael's the other day for something, and I was looking around the store, and I'm looking at the, like the cork board stuff, like that foam board, the foam board, science fair, the trifolds.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh my God, all those years I thought I was doing this. It's like, no, somebody had to take me to fucking Michael's.
Oh yeah.
Spend $16 on the trifold
so expensive.
cardboard. Get me the cutout letters.
Sit with me.
Sit with me. Make sure I didn't impale myself on something.
Make sure I didn't plagiarize. Make sure I I needed access to a printer.
So much.
Markers.
I made my dad bring home like he's a doctor, like medical equipment for me to run science experiments.
Yeah. Well, how else were we going to get an A?
Yeah. How else were we going to get an A? Like the fact that I don't work at JPL in Pasadena as some sort of engineer putting people in space, I don't know. Because
there's a PhD for that. Is that the one you have?
It's not the one I have. I have a different one. I have a different one. It doesn't put anybody in space. Puts literally nobody in space.
My dad one day, it was like 8th grade art project, and I like totally procrastinated on this mosaic that you had to make out of tiny bits of construction paper squares.
Shocked that you procrastinated.
I was a big procrastinator. Huh. I didn't learn my time management till later, but I sort of got off on the fact that I could get an A at a last minute thing. I was like,
you were an adrenaline junkie.
It was like a fuddy-duddy. Like I was like, ooh, look how well I did on my PSATs without studying. Like
a weird flex.
That's a weird. That's not a good flex.
No,
don't do that flex.
But I think Crosby,
that's what I would
my
tell.
husband is also that guy.
It's like looking back, it just wasn't it wasn't a good flex.
I wonder if your parents were stressed by that.
They were always stressed by that. That's why they did all my projects for me. But they were all A+. And I remember like very vividly going to school. My dad was still in his bathrobe sitting at the dining room table with his coffee and like placing little
God bless this man.
with tweezers, construction paper squares of my mosaic, and then he brought it to school as if I forgot it.
Wow, genius! And also, you're a piece of work.
He was a little bit upset with me.
Wait, did your parents tell you about how I accosted them on the street?
I don't think they used the word accosted, but they're like, we met Carrie and we love her.
I saw them. I recognized your dog first, and I just like came running over to them. Was like, hi, I'm Sam's friend, and I had like my whole family with me, and I made everybody cross the street so I could go talk to them.
Oh my gosh.
And they were like, and your mom, hi, I'm Carrie, and your mom looked at me and she goes, oh. Like the podcast.
Like,
oh my God, God bless you.
Yeah.
She's like, I've listened to the podcast.
Oh.
What a supportive queen. And then
She's a supportive queen, yes.
And then I told her that you are keeping her from me because I want her to teach us how to do Filipino rules mahjong. And
what'd she say? Is she down?
So she is going to teach us.
Well, listen, you've inspired me to really hunker down and pinpoint. I will say that I'm glad I kept, 2024's goals like pretty loose, but I had like a couple very specific actionable things every day that were, again, attainable and sustainable. And I feel like the meaning that has been derived from the health and the wealth is a lot different than what I set out to.
That's poetic.
At the start of the year.
Well, what I love is I'm sitting here looking at you today.
Eating a
banana, having just gone to your Pilates class, and you're wearing a hat that says what?
Keep going.
Keep going.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, that's what it comes back down to, is every day is a new chance to just do our best for ourselves.
And for those around us,
But I think if you try and do what's best for you, it does show. Like, one thing I've been thinking a lot about is when I listen to our podcast guests come on and hear them reflect about their own childhoods and how they're raising their kids, there's this one thing that I hear sometimes, not in every episode, that I'm like, I want to do that more, which is show my kids what I like and what I'm passionate about. Not in the hopes that they like those things too. No. But just to show them what it is to be into something.
Yeah, to feel joy and to be into something. To be genuinely interested.
Like, I think about Chris Gayumali's episode when he was talking about this relationship he has with his dad and how his dad was kind of nerdy and they shared these things that they were really interested in. Or Tracy Aftergood's episode where she got her love of musical theater from her mom taking her to Broadway shows.
I love that.
There are so many of these these little pieces. And really what it is grown-ass people like us looking at these kids and saying, hey, I want to show you something I think is cool.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I think I get so focused on executing on the parenting shit that I forget to be like, hey, you want to see something that like I think is really cool that I like? And it's like, anytime I have done that, I have only been met with interest.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna try and do more of that this year.
I think that's great.
Right?
And I'm gonna figure out what I want to do. I want to keep going.
You want to keep going.
Growing.
I think this is gonna be a big creative year for you.
Thank you. I want to say when I started 2024, I was like, okay, I want to make money again in a, job setting that I know how to do.
What is this accent? Filipino robot?
It's a robot.
But it was like kind of
I
like
identify as a robot.
Sure. You identify as a robot. Are you the kind that has genitalia or not? Like a fembot or?
Good question. Yes. Did I tell you I went into labor on Halloween?
No.
I went into labor on Halloween in 2021 and I was dressed as a robot. And I brought my robot head into the labor and delivery room.
On purpose?
Yeah, it was a Halloween.
Oh, sure.
Like,
okay.
My partner was dressed as Beetlejuice, but sans the face paint, but he had the rest of the look on.
So funny.
So we just show up, to labor and delivery, and I'm like, I have a video where I'm like, I'm in labor.
Can we put in the show
labor
notes?
Sure. Yeah, for sure.
I want it mainly just for me. That's
I'll
so
just
funny.
send it to you. But I do, and like my Christmas tree, when I did have full creative direction over my Christmas tree, I did a whole robot theme one year, and I put a robot head, and I put like on the top, and then I had robots sitting all over the place, and I do identify as a robot.
I love that.
Anyways, what was I saying? Oh yeah, I want to make money. I want to make more money this year, and what that has. Oh, and then I was like, oh, healthy, whatever. It turned into, or it evolved into, the leaning into the wealth of my creativity, and my creativity has sort of deviated from what I've been known for in terms of what generates income.
Yeah.
And I've just been following my creativity, and that hasn't generated like tons of like financial wealth, but I feel wealth in my soul.
I love that.
From just like being open. So the wealth is there in that way, but it's in a way that I didn't expect.
And sometimes maybe they follow each other.
And the health was like, at first I had so many goals. I was like, I'm going to start running like 10Ks 3 times a week. And I just want to get my distance up. I want to run 100 miles a month. And then I also want to get my body snatched. And I was like, you know what? Actually, what do I really want? I just want to trim my waistline 3 inches. Right. That's all.
That's it. Like a lot. No, is that a lot? That feels like a lot. As somebody who has no idea what my waistline inches are.
It's not a lot.
How do I find out what my waistline inches are? Do you measure?
Yeah.
Wow.
I did a measurement, and I did come
feel
down.
Like that's like straight out of Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. They're always measuring the waistline.
Oh, are they? I've never watched that show. But yeah, I do.
That's a mistake.
Should I add that to the list?
If you're gonna be friends with Jewish people, you should.
Oh, okay.
It's like very rich in Jewish culture.
Oh, I love that. I'll do it.
And the costumes are great. But wait, okay, so did you achieve that goal?
Yeah, because once I got really clear about what I wanted, what my metric goal was, then I kind of just, everything that didn't make sense for that specific outcome just kind of melted away.
Yeah.
And then it turned into a very sustainable, like actionable set of habits
for this robot,
for my robot body to snatch its robot waistline. And so now I think we're good. So I guess my point is, you don't have to like pivot everything all at once, and it doesn't have to happen today on New Year's Day, but do take a hard reflection.
Yeah.
Kind of don't overdo it.
Don't overdo it.
Pick a couple things that you think may positively benefit all the buckets in your life, and start there and see how it goes.
See how it goes and change your mind if you need to change your mind.
Yeah.
I have one question for you. And if we can finish on this. My robot companion.
Okay.
The one thing about where we are right now in the year is that our kids have just been sugared the fuck up for like weeks. And they're like toy zombies. And they're overstimulated in kind of the worst versions of themselves. And it's not their fault.
Right.
And it's not quite yet time for them to go back to school. They've a couple more days.
Yes.
And I remember at this point last year feeling very stressed about what a zombie psycho child I had, because it was his first real Christmas of like, and Hanukkah of like really understanding how he could milk this situation.
Yes, receiving.
Enjoy the situation, I should say. And so this year, let's brainstorm. Do we have any ideas about how we can detox our kids and reintroduce them into society as non-feral beings?
That's a great
idea.
Do you have any ideas? Because my daughter is 1 year younger than your son, so I'm good. This is gonna be my first real.
It's pretty wild because there's this thing of like, I wanted him to eat whatever he wanted to eat, to enjoy, to have the blast, to feel all of the things that a kid feels on Christmas and Hanukkah, and those things are different.
Because you guys do both.
We do both. Because we are a Jewish household, but my husband's family celebrates Christmas, so we do both.
Oh, love it.
Yeah. We're an ambi-holidayed home, and so that's just like extra crazy and extra excess.
Yeah, what are your...
So I think simply getting back into the same routine of how things were before the crazy period, I remember being helpful last year, and I just have to remind myself of that. Just because my child wants to eat cookies for breakfast, it's like, okay, that's okay for Christmas Day. That's okay for New Year's Day or whatever. But then there's a point where you say, all right, well, we're getting back ready to go to school, and on school days we do this. And it's just a fact. It's not like a drama. It's, you know, he's going to be upset shortly. Yeah. He's going to be disappointed. But it's just kind of holding firm, and also like realizing that his poor little brain is so addicted to the sugar and the crap and the overstimulation at this point that it's not his fault he's being a dick right now.
No. So I think I experienced this out of Thanksgiving break. And what I was observing was what you're saying is you gotta nudge it back in to the schedule and the programming, and you need to hold a little grace for them too, and give them a little time to get there. Yeah. Because it's hard for everyone. I mean, that's why we have a whole episode about New Year's resolutions. I mean, everyone's a piece of shit by the end of the year. Like, we're all just trying to get right with, you know, whoever we...
Very well said.
Yeah, we're just trying to get right. And same for our kids. Yeah. Except their frontal cortex is not fully developed yet. So the lobes ain't there. So we got to meet them where they're at. Yeah. Give a little grace. We got to wean... You got to wean them off the cookies for breakfast. And then I think something that helped us over Thanksgiving was I just try to keep one or two things very normal and regular. Yeah. So if it was, no matter what, Daisy would take a bath. Yeah. She would do her nighttime routine. If it was at 7 or if it was at 10, like, she had to brush her teeth. There was just a couple things that I was like, we can't let go of this. We can't fully derail. Yes. So if it's brushing your teeth, do brush your teeth, you know?
And the other thing that I think was helpful last year that I need to remember to do this year is we still have our Christmas tree up on New Year's Day, but we need to pick a day and say
bye-bye.
Bye, and everybody needs to be involved in the bye-bye.
Yeah.
That is also, I think, like a visual
closure
of like, we are done with this chapter now. Or if it's the menorah, putting the menorah back in the cabinet or whatever it is, just being like, okay, this chapter is now closing, and we're going to take the school backpack back out and put it in a visible place.
Yeah, just start putting in those visual cues that help them transition. That's a really smart one. I like that. Also, you know, I think the biggest challenge with us was we were traveling over Thanksgiving, and so I co-slept with her for like a whole week, and
Who doesn't love that?
We don't co-sleep otherwise. So when we got home,
that was hard. Probably
she was like, "Mommy," like, "Mommy."
I wish you could see her face, guys.
Mommy, like she does a whimpering mommy after I leave her room.
Does it kill you?
Yeah, it kills me. I have to like leave the house. I'm like, and then in the morning too, when she wakes up, like the whole week after we got back, was like, "Mommy," at 6 a.m.
No, thank
just
you, ma'am.
looking for me, you know, and that's hard. And I was just like, this is gonna take a couple days to get used to. So
it's like a time zone change.
You're not in trouble, and I'm not mad, but like, we gotta just try to. It's like a time zone change.
Yeah.
You just got to hold a little.
Well, I want to say Happy New Year to all of our mothers and fathers who regularly tune in. For any of you who are following along and interested, our growth in listenership has kind of been exponential. Like,
amazing.
People are showing up for us just like we're showing up for them. I think it should come as no surprise that our chief advisor in residence, SOSUPERSAM, will be back on the pod throughout the year.
Oh, I would love the opportunity. Thank you so much. Anytime.
I just feel really lucky that I get text messages and messages from people being like, wow, that thing somebody said, that got me. And because it gets me too. So
let's do a call to action to your listeners.
Call to action. No, there are listeners, so super.
Okay. To the listeners of the Mutha Life podcast, a call to action in 2025. If you love this podcast, share it with a friend. If you have some ideas for New Year's resolutions, go to the Substack, leave a comment, talk. Carrie wants to write back. So like, let's get this conversation going on Substack. Like, subscribe, send it to a friend. Let's come up with our New Year's resolutions and themes and goals together.
Guys, I think she earned her mochi brownies. That was a really good plug. I love you, my mothers. Talk to you in 2025.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Team, I need your help. If you love it here, please like and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. Subscribe to the Substack for full access to this episode's show notes and join the discussion. And of course, follow me on Instagram at Mutha, MUTHA.life for a daily look at all things Mutha. Thanks for listening. Be sure to tune in next week for another Chat in the Closet. This podcast was produced by Mutha Life, music by Ronan Landa. See you next time.